What is going on, Trash Talkers? We are back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to give you our Overreaction Monday takes from Week 10 in the NFL. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey Trash Talkers, over 85% of you are still not subscribed to the channel. Please be sure to hit that red subscribe button and turn on notifications, as it will help us create more daily content for you. Thank you and enjoy today's video. Alright Nick, week 10 in the NFL is once again almost finished. We still have Monday Night Football to get to tonight, but we'll get to that a little bit later. I want to start off with some of the bigger games that we saw yesterday, and starting off with the game that you and I both attended, the New England Patriots hosting the Cleveland Browns in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. One hell of a matchup, just an absolute onslaught by Mac Jones and company. This team put up 45 points against the Cleveland Browns, who were ranked as the 6th best defense in the NFL all around. So kudos to the Patriots. But Nick, I wanted to hear from you a little bit. What did you take away from this game? Was this more good Patriots or bad Browns?
I think it's a mix of both. I think when you look at the New England Patriots, they're just firing on all cylinders right now. And when you look at the Browns, when you listen to Myles Garrett in the post-game press conference, he's saying they go to the sideline, they're not making a single adjustment. They're not deviating from their plan A. They don't know how to adapt to the gameplay and what's going on the field. They prepare for something in the week, and that's what they stick to. And the Patriots know how to adapt to every situation. They gave up a touchdown on the first drive. Guess what? No more points were given up on the rest of the day. But the Browns consistently gave up points. They didn't make adjustments. They are one of the top pass rushing teams in the NFL. And when they don't have that strong pass rush, when the Patriots take that away, their defense is left trying to struggle, trying to figure out what to do next. And when you see bad coaching like that, that's the big difference maker in this matchup. The Browns are lacking the coaching. They have all the talent. Besides Baker, that's a question. But that was really what came into play. Bill Belichick and his coaching staff are just on another level compared to Kevin Stefanski and his coaching staff.
I mean, OBJ was the problem, right? I mean, that's what we heard for the last few weeks. And then last week, the Browns put up 41 points against the Cincinnati Bengals, and now they get 45 put on them. So there's a whole shift going on in Cleveland. And I want to just address one point before we move on that you talked about. Joe Woods is the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. He's in his 18th season as a defensive coach in the NFL. The fact that he's not making any adjustments whatsoever, whether it be on the sideline or at halftime or whatever the case may be, is just a dereliction of his duty. It is something that most companies in this world would fire you for. If something's not working and you continue to do it, that is the definition of insanity. And this man is continuing to do it week in and week out. I don't like that at all. Myles Garrett is way too talented to only have a half a sack on a rotating offensive line that the Patriots are putting out there each and every week. It is not acceptable for the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns fans should be absolutely up in arms right now. And I don't believe that Kevin Stefanski has the wherewithal to keep this job. I think that he has a lot to get fixed, and that includes starting the quarterback Baker Mayfield. He looks absolutely atrocious, and they need to figure that out before they can do anything. I know the season has had some really good bright spots for this team, but they need to figure all of that out before they can even be taken seriously in the AFC. All right, next up, we want to talk about a game that definitely went the complete opposite way that we thought. The Carolina Panthers going to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Obviously, no Kyler Murray, no DeAndre Hopkins, but that didn't seem to be a problem last week as they thwarted the San Francisco 49ers. Doesn't matter now because the Panthers came in and they had a little revenge on their mind. dealing with the Patriots a week prior. They were not ready to have that happen again with Chandler Jones and company for the Cardinals. Nick, the Panthers just absolutely dominated this matchup left and right. It seemed like Christian McCaffrey got going, and outside of that, not much else. Cam Newton really got involved, and this was a really good day for the Panthers, but nothing offensively besides maybe a James Conner touchdown from the Cardinals. What happened in this game?
I think it really just came down to these defenses. When you look at the Carolina Panthers defense, they're incredible, and we talked about this last week. They are an incredible team that just didn't have the offensive help to keep them steady. You need to have some balance. Otherwise, you're going to fade, just like we saw in that Browns game. The defense is strong. You just need to have the offensive side. Now they get a little bit of life. PJ Walker came in, and they now have Cam Newton. And you see that the Carolina Panthers defense is for real because they have some life breathing back into them because of the offense. When you look at the Arizona Cardinals, they have a lot of defensive studs. But when they look on the other side of the ball at their offensive team, they don't see anything on that offensive side of the ball that's going to give them that adrenaline, that rush to play at their best, because they don't have their two best weapons, and that just completely suffocates the defense. That just doesn't make them want to play their best. And right off the gate, Cam Newton scoring 2 touchdowns on his first 2 plays, and you see the defense is completely deflated right away. Then you're really relying on the offense to completely uplift this team, and they can't do that, not with the lack of weapons they have. And for a Cardinals team that just went out this offseason, paid every player, got all the big name free agents, what do they have to show for it at this point? They're 8-2, but they're holding on by a string.
Well, I want to address something that you talked about, because you talked about the defense essentially being deflated because the offense didn't have Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. They didn't have those playmakers. These guys are professionals. I mean, you are getting paid millions of dollars to go out there and do a job. And again, I just lambasted Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. I'm coming after Cliff Kingsbury right now, because this is his job. His job is to get these guys motivated, keep these guys' heads in the game, make sure they are doing their job, and keeping them accountable. I mean, this is ridiculous. You can't have a defense that is a top 10 defense in the NFL giving up yards and touchdowns to Robbie Anderson and Cam Newton in his first game back. The guy hasn't even been signed for 48 hours, and he's scoring touchdowns on this team. It's absolutely abysmal, and the Cardinals need to be ashamed of themselves right now. This was a totally winnable game. I think they came into this week thinking that they were just going to roll over the Panthers. They weren't going to even bring in a fight, and all of a sudden, they found themselves in a hole and didn't know what to do. This is terrible coaching. Cliff Kingsbury needs to get this under control right away. Otherwise, the Cardinals could find themselves in a deeper hole, not only in their division, but in the NFC playoff standings, especially with OBJ and Von Miller making their starts tonight for the Los Angeles Rams. All right. For our third down, I want to talk about another game that was kind of sleepy. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the Green Bay Packers. This was the return of both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson to their respective teams. This was supposed to be a highly anticipated matchup where both offenses were going to be firing on all cylinders. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf for the Seahawks. You were supposed to see Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones really get going for the Packers, and we saw nothing. I mean, it was just a literal snooze fest. I just don't understand what was the issue. Nick, what did you see in this game that gives you any hope for either of these teams right now?
Yeah, I think the Green Bay Packers really need to look at this defense and say, all right, they're finally up to snuff where we can make it past the NFC Championship game. We can go all the way this time. They have the weapons to do it. The problem is they just lost Aaron Jones with an MCL sprain, and we don't know what this team is going to look like with A.J. Dillon as the lead back. It's going to be interesting to see. But for the Seattle Seahawks, I mean, their season's completely over. You get Russ back, you think you might have a shot again, and guess what? You put up a goose egg. You cannot put up a single point against the Green Bay Packers, and you have DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett. Russell Wilson just had a horrible game, one of his worst games of his career, and you paid this guy all this money, and now you see what's happening. You have all these weaknesses, and the guy you put all the money in cannot counter that weakness. And the Seattle Seahawks are just in such a bad spot right now. One thing to watch out for is if Russell Wilson gets traded this offseason.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Maybe a Deshaun Watson swap. Never know. But this is an interesting tidbit that I saw on the broadcast yesterday. This is Russell Wilson's 150th start at quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, and the first time he's ever been shut out in his career. Definitely not something he's used to, not something that this offense is used to. But again, I'm going to stick with the theme today. I'm calling out Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll did nothing to adapt to what the Packers were doing. And the Packers weren't doing anything that was egregious or just simply just out coaching them. They ran their normal defensive scheme that every team has been able to score on them. And Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Alex Collins running the ball couldn't do a damn thing. You're telling me you couldn't put up a field goal? It was just absolutely atrocious. I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Pete Carroll, I think, is on the hot seat, and that is something that we need to watch out for. If Russell Wilson could get traded this offseason, I think Pete Carroll could be fired. I think that they really need to look at him and say, your way of coaching is done. It cost us the Legion of Boom. Now it's going to cost us Russell Wilson. It might be time for you to go back to USC where you belong.
And it's perfect timing, too, because USC is looking for a head coach.
Look at that. All right, for our fourth and final down, I want to talk about a game that really just had me scratching my head last night, and that would be Sunday Night Football's Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Kansas City Chiefs were just the Chiefs again. I don't know how else to describe it. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, both heavily involved in this attack. It seemed like they got the running game going. Not every play was being run 20, 30 yards downfield. They were doing a lot of underneath stuff. They were moving Tyreek Hill in motion. Byron Pringle got heavily involved in this matchup. It was a great game for the Chiefs, but the Raiders, yikes. Not a lot to really look forward to here. You saw that Deshaun Jackson got involved with his first catch. Huge gainer, really taking the top off the defense. And then I don't know if his brain lagged or what the hell happened, but he turned the opposite way and the corner punches the ball from behind him and it bounces off Honey Badger's face. So at the end of the day, the Raiders are raidering and the Chiefs look like they could take the division again. Nick, what the hell is happening in the AFC West?
Yeah, well, I think the Las Vegas Raiders are still reeling after everything that has gone on this season for them. And they're playing a division rival that knows them extremely well. So I expect this to be a closer game. But like you said, Deshaun Jackson's turnover was kind of the turning point of this game. They were still in it. They almost scored a touchdown on that play. But it seemed like that gave enough life into this Chiefs team to put them over the top. I think that both teams have their struggles. I don't think either team, if they make the playoffs, is going to do anything against the other teams in the AFC. But one of these teams is probably going to come out on top, and I think maybe the AFC West is turning into the new NFC East.
Yikers. Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos, Chargers. Not great. All are clumped in together within a game of each other for the number one spot. Nick, out of these teams, who do you see coming out on top for the AFC West?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. They just have the offensive talent to keep them afloat. When we look at the Chargers, they're dealing with so many injuries on both sides of the ball that I don't think that they're going to be able to do it. They're losing games. They're losing games to the Patriots and to the Vikings and almost even losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is all coming after their bye week. That's when you're supposed to make your adjustments and get better, and they're doing the complete opposite. I just don't think the Chargers, who are their closest competition, are going to be able to keep up. The Chiefs are going to find a way to put up points. The defense will put up a couple stops here and there. They're not going to have to do that much to really put them over the top in this division.
I agree with you 100%. The AFC West is atrocious, and the Chiefs might be the best of the worst, but at the end of the day, it's still the worst. All right, before we go, Nick, Monday Night Football tonight, Los Angeles Rams, Von Miller, OBJ, making their fresh start for the Rams, taking on their intra-division rival, San Francisco 49ers. Who do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be an easy one. The Los Angeles Rams getting Von Miller. Can't wait to see what he looks like in that jersey, but and OBJ as well. This is going to be an embarrassment of talent that we get to see Matthew Stafford work with, Sean McVay work with, and the 49ers really just don't have the talent to keep up. It may be a divisional game. They tend to be close, but we saw the Cardinals absolutely destroy the 49ers last week. I'm taking a similar result in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams as well. I think that this is just absolutely ridiculous. OBJ is being thrust into his first start because of the torn ACL that Robert Woods suffered on Friday's practice. Definitely not something that we're looking forward to, but well wishes to Robert Woods moving forward. And I know this Los Angeles Rams team, even with the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., is not going to skip a beat. I think that they're going to be even better and even more potent moving forward. I have the Rams on Monday Night Football and probably the rest of the season. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.